So Jesus is speaking to the crowd. He's using a parable. He's trying to make a point. And at the end he says, whoever has ears ought to hear. When I was younger and heard these stories, I was wondering, did they have ears back then? Like, what's going on? Yeah, because you kind of take it literally. And yes, they had ears. And I think sometimes Jesus used phrases because he wanted to get people's attention, but I also think maybe he would tease people a little bit. Like, whoever has ears, like that's everybody. So everybody should listen to what he has to say. So this is a parable. It's pretty easy to figure out what's going on here. And he'll explain it in the later verses, which we'll hear later this week. But he's speaking about the seed that is being planted in our hearts, and the seed is the Word of God. What is the Word of God? Well, it's the words of Jesus. Where can we find those words? Are they on a YouTube? Are they no, they're in the Gospel. I mean, you could put them on YouTube. And they're in the Gospel, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You can find that every day. I looked at it earlier on the Relevant Radio app for free, the readings, it's right there. And it's a good custom, if you can, to read the Gospel every day, even if you can't attend Mass, to read the Gospel quietly and let it sink into you and then wonder about it. Wonder about it. So it becomes part of your consciousness. And then if we read the Gospel every day, we wonder about it, and we're that good soil, we will produce fruit. 100-fold, 60-fold, or 30-fold. When I was younger, I said, well, I want to be like that 100-fold. What's going to take to be that 100-fold? I think that 100-fold means that in the course of our life, we bring 100 other people to become practicing Catholics. How's that? That's pretty ambitious, right? Or 60 or 30. I used to tell this to the students at Northridge, and they look like impossible, impossible, impossible. And so one day I had an idea. I've told you this before. I told the boys, I know what you do. Find a pretty girl, get married young, have 8 or 10 kids, get them all baptized, and baptize all the grandchildren, and you got it. You got 100 right there, or 60 or 30. And they said, oh, that's a great idea. And they'd go out and get married young. And then after about 4 years, they said, well, this is a lot harder than I thought. But that's mostly how we pass the faith on, is within the family. That's mostly how we do it. At Relevant Radio, we're reaching out farther to anybody who wants to listen. Now, this summer, I am trying tomatoes on the roof of my garage in Chicago for the 3rd year. Some of them are doing well. Some of them will actually produce 100 little tomatoes. Some of them are not doing well at all. I can't figure it out. And they're horrid, right? So I know what I'll have to do. I'll have to cut them down and put them in the furnace and all that. But what I do know is if you have tomato plants, you have to water them every day. You've got to feed them every 2 weeks. And they need to get 8 or 10 hours of sunshine every day. And that's like the spiritual life. You have to do a little bit every day. A little bit of prayer every day, a little bit of pruning every day, a little bit of nourishment every day. So what is that good ground for the seed of the Word of God to fall into? I'll give you 3 ideas. The first one is to have a grateful heart. If you're grateful to God and grateful to others, the Word of God sinks into your heart. Second is to be humble and obedient like the Blessed Mother. Because of her humility and obedience, Christ came into the world. And third, to be persevering like St. Joseph. He persevered to take care of Jesus and Mary. So to have a grateful heart, be in the habit of saying thank you, be humble and obedient like the Blessed Mother, and be persevering like St. Joseph. And in that way, the Word of God will find very fertile soil, and you will render 100-fold, 30-fold, and 60-fold.